years?
I would say one piece of wisdom is that you have to find stillness in the chaos, because things are going to continue to pull you in many directions and in the cycle of life, right? But if you don't take time to stand firm in who you are and your true, purpose and what ultimately it is that you want in life and how you want to feel, you're going to constantly be pulled in many directions if you don't go back to what that is and check in with yourself and check in with source and check into connecting to, our higher purpose.
I'm Krystal Arthur, and I'm your host for the Divine Desire podcast. This podcast is to gift you the sexy, spiritual, sovereign, and specific wisdom to help you find and follow your desire into the magical relationships, business, and life that serves the world and excites your soul. I have been studying and coaching in spirituality, wellness, business, and desire professionally for nearly 15 years. I've been on a journey from being a pastor's wife, mother, and seminary student riddled with depression and anxiety with a toxic marriage, to training in holistic health, hypnotherapy, practicing a tantric approach to sex, love, and relationships, having 5 kids, and a sexy, sovereign, and sacred union of 11 years. I've searched heaven and hell to discover the wellness, woo, and taboo paths and practitioners to help us remember the wholeness and truth, goodness, and beauty within. And I can't wait to share them with you. Do you have a divine desire to heal and reclaim your relationship with yourself, your power, purpose, pleasure, prosperity, and your partner? Do you have an inner knowing of a calling, but fear holding you back from honoring the truest part of yourself, what lights you up? You're in the right place. Some guests may stretch or challenge you. Some guests will help unlock your next level of evolution. My intention is that every conversation is a catalyst to you owning yourself and manifesting your truest desires. This is the space to remind us we are infinite and our desires are the roadmap to our dreams. Here you'll find the inspiration and implementation to go from doing your inner work to being and sharing the work of art that you are.
Okay, I'm super excited. We scheduled this and then we rescheduled it and rescheduled it. And I'm really excited because I don't think enough people know about you and your magic. You, for me, it was like the beginning of me like getting faith back in my body. And also when we initially met, I was coming to you just to talk to you about Growing Tree.
Yeah, because you had put out a bunch of stuff that I was like, oh, this is what I want. Yeah. It was like next level. You had cafe, you had, the conscious everything.
And it's still my heart's due. The timeline obviously changed, but yeah, I was like, I'm going to do this awesome thing. And then I found you. I think I can't remember who it was, but someone told me about you. And I was like, what? I didn't know anyone was doing anything at all similar to the vision that I had at the time. And so I connected with you. I think I was big and pregnant at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it was when I was pregnant with the twins.
But you thought it was one. You didn't know it was twins.
I did not know it was twins yet. I was just ginormous and didn't know. And so I came to you and was talking to you about Growing Tree and was mind blown and so impressed. I think what impresses me about you is that you are obviously very feminine, but you do have a strong masculine container. You get shit done. You really are business savvy.
Yeah. I went to school for business. I went to school for accounting. I knew going into college that I wanted to have my own business. I didn't know what that business wanted to be. I thought it was a spa. I thought I wanted to be, because who doesn't want to go to a spa and feel amazing, right? So I was like, I just want to have a place that people want to be, because I like people.
Well, that still definitely fits. Yeah. That definitely fits both your Pilates practice and Growing Tree. So that was what initially impressed me about you, was that feminine and masculine balance, and what you've accomplished here is just amazing. But then you also, I don't know if I pointed out or if you pointed out, I think I must have said hey, so this Pilates thing, I've never done Pilates.
Well, I think it was the way you were walking.
I was going to say, I was like,
what's going, I'm constantly looking at people's gaits and, it's just my eye goes to it and I'm like, you know,
I asked me if I was hurting.
I could tell that
I
you
was
were
hurting.
Yes, I could tell you were hurting because you were, you know, hold on to things. I could tell you weren't trusting to stand in your own feet.
I did not feel safe in my body because I had to kind of throw like my legs to get around. And yes, I was ginormously pregnant, but it was whenever I was going, like with my previous pregnancy, when I was going to the birth center and like talk to the midwives, they were like, yeah, you might need like I think, and I know I told you not crutches, a walker. And they're like, oh yeah, that can happen. I'm like, no, this doesn't feel. I've seen women who are hugely pregnant and they can still walk straight. Like, I feel like there's something different going on here. And you helped me identify that it was my SI joint and that it wasn't that I needed more flexibility, but I needed more stability. That really set me on a whole trajectory of understanding my body in a different way and respecting what my body is saying, not just what YouTube is saying, or, you know, not just the conventional advice of what to do.
Feeling it, yes, in your own
body. I was stretching in ways that were not supportive. I was doing bilateral movements that were making it worse, and then I would just cry because it's like, I'm exercising, I'm doing lunges, I'm doing the things that they say you're supposed to do to be, you know, to like these maternity exercises and whatnot. And then I'm feeling like I can't walk the next day.
Right.
So your like mastery of like the human body, and then your like gentleness and like the way that I was just super impressed. So I'm excited for this conversation because I want you to share your journey because you've really inspired me. Like sometimes when I'm doing coming up with all my crazy ideas and like all my like the business things I want to do, I think of you really. And it's like, even when I'm discouraged, like, oh man, I'm still not doing this. It's like just knowing that it's possible.
Yeah.
And knowing, okay, there might be some areas of growth and some areas that I can strengthen and develop in myself. Like what I refer to as like that masculine container, like just being able to like really see things through and have that consistency and structure and planning.
And just have faith.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that's going to happen next in your life, you know, even though you have these big dreams and you think they're going to look one way, it's going to be better than that. Like, you know, better than you could have imagined.
Yeah. I love how you brought that. See, that was like the feminine that you brought in. I love that. Okay. So take me back. So we're going to go before growing Tree to your Pilates story and journey, because I see that as like...
Yeah. So I started as a Pilates client. I actually did a DVD in college, a Denise Austin 20-minute workout on the floor, on the mat. Me and my college roommates, and I fell in love with it immediately. I was like, I feel strong, you know, like it really connected me to my powerhouse, you know, and I tightened everything up. It felt great. I moved back home and got out of practice and, you know, rewind to 4 or 5 years, I was in an auto accident where I was ejected from the car, fractured my spine, you know, and so I had known that I might have a bad back. You know, that was kind of what was told. I might have physical therapy for a while. I might be in and out of physical therapy from, you know, my life. And so I knew I needed to take care of my body. So when I moved back, I found it was actually in Wing Haven where we are now. So I started at, it's called Pilates for Life. It's not there anymore. But yeah, I was a broke college student paying for Pilates classes, and I had always seen the equipment, and, you know, that was like, one day I'll get there. One day I'll get to work out on the equipment. But for right now, I started with mat Pilates. I was very disciplined. It was me with a bunch of older women. You know, it was not like the college class. You know, Pilates was not well known in the Midwest at all. So I just stuck with it because I knew it felt right in my body, and it kept me from pain. I didn't have any pain in my back, and so I built up the flexibility and the stability. And then when I met my husband, and, you know, we started dreaming together, you know, and he had just gotten out of the Marine Corps and was, you know, had a new, fresh perspective on life. And he started training while I was working as a accountant. I moved my way up through that, through corporate world and doing, the office stuff while also practicing Pilates. When we started talking about family and stuff, I was like, I don't want to get up every day and go to work and leave my baby. Like, that's for sure. When I have babies, I don't want to do that. And so I like to schedule, I was like, I like that you can leave for work. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start teaching people what I've learned from Pilates, because it's changed my life and my, health. So I want to do that for other people. So I started becoming an instructor, which took forever to find the right training program, because again, we're in the Midwest right now. Like, if I was a new instructor going in, being in the Midwest, it's great. There's lots of options now, but 2010, when I was starting the journey, there wasn't any options. So my first option was Illinois, and then I would have to drive, and somehow I stumbled upon Mary Brown, and she was in it was Pilates plus yoga off of McLaughlin. And it took about a year and a half to get certified. So I worked full time. I went there, and it's a lot of hours, to become a really well certified instructor. The weekend courses and a few hours here and there, that's not going to get you far. You're not going to come to the level of mastery. And when I do something, I'm diving full in. I want to know inside and out before I teach it. I want to know all of the answers to the questions, and embodying it was an important piece to me too, is making sure that I embody all of the things because I didn't know the names of all the things I was doing when I went through training until I was in training, but I could do it in my body, so it was like connecting those pieces of, now how do I get someone else to feel that in their body, right? Which I think helps me be a better instructor, embodying the work myself, because I'm like, I know exactly what you're feeling. Like when you came in and you're like, I can't, it's just a brain thing.
Say to that, I was constantly impressed with how the tiniest tweaks, like you had an eye and an awareness and mastery, that like you would tell me to just make the tiniest, I don't even know how, I know an example, the tiniest tweak to like my body
posture,
my posture in different positions, like whatever position I was in, you could just make the tiniest adjustment, and it was like a completely different feeling in my body.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, now I'm engaging muscles that I forgot existed. Like, now I'm working something that I've not felt in years.
Yes.
And like, I've done my Pilates on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you do what you can with what you have. And
looking at
but
you.
It is not the same. There's no comparison to having a skilled eye. And not only that, but you also would notice, like, when I was like straining, or when I was like doing it like from my neck instead of doing it from my core, or like, I can't even remember all of it, but like so many times when you would give me instructions, I would just think, how did she see that?
Yeah.
And I was so I'm the type of person that if I love something, immediately I'm like, how do I get trained in this?
Yes.
So I talked to you about that, but yeah, I did find like, there's a huge variety of trainings out there, and like kind of from different even perspectives or philosophies of
it's an evolution of trainings. So I was lucky enough to find an instructor who had a little bit of both. She had the roots, she had the foundation of the classical work, so that they call it classical versus contemporary.
Right.
Classical is going to be truer to Joe Pilates and his contrology method that he created. And then contemporary is just an evolution of that. So it's, just different equipment types, and different lineages of Joe Pilates. They all are good in their own ways, but push you in different ways, I, coming from a therapeutic need, went more towards the discipline of the foundational work and nurturing versus the compounding. I'm not in it for the workout. I'm not in it for the like pushing and the, the exertion. That was not appealing to me. I was looking for a balance between effort and ease. And so balance for me has been my go to in all things in life. And that's what I tell people when they come to Pilates. It's like, okay, we're going to balance out your body and the symmetry in your body, but that's also going to balance out your brain.
Yeah.
It's also going to balance out your priorities and, you know, putting yourself first for all of us busy mothers, and, you know, what we, how we change as we have children, and, you know, life gets layered and thrown at us. But yeah, so there was so much more to it than just body work for Pilates for me.
And I don't think the average person like going to like a Pilates class has all that in mind.
I don't know for sure.
And like you'll hear, you're like, oh, Pilates is a really good workout, or Pilates is really good like therapeutically. But under like most people don't know the difference between like doing Pilates online, or like I actually do enjoy it, but it does not feel at all the same.
It's not the same depth. You're not
like,
going to get as deep.
You probably get the ads on Facebook of the wall Pilates, which I know is not actually Pilates, but it does help my booty.
Yes.
And for me, what it's done for me is like because I was so scared. I don't do Pilates unless I'm with you, basically, because I'm like afraid of like making a mistake, because I still don't trust my body. And so but I trust you. Yeah. And I'm learning, and like working with you helps me to trust my body more. Oh, I can do that range.
I remember that session we had with you when I first was like,
I would like cry.
You don't feel safe in your body.
And I didn't.
And you have this aha moment. That's what these aha moments come out as we're working through, you know? Yeah. And getting you to really ground down into your pelvis, and then send your awareness to there, to like from the bottom up, feel strong.
Yeah. I had been pregnant. That was my 4th pregnancy. And so I worked with you after that, during the pregnancy and after the pregnancy. And with my first pregnancy, I got a hernia, and my the diastasis recti, the muscles never came back together all the way. And so I had a lot of weakness in my core, and I just avoided it. Between the hernia and the separation, I just was afraid to do anything that involved core strength. Yeah. And I was very disassociated from that part of my body. So it took, what I respected about you was it wasn't just the like anatomy or like the functional movement that you like skill set, but you also were so in tuned like emotionally and like with like my mentality. And like that's just what you were just speaking to. And I like it was a whole it was like a whole therapy session.
It's a holistic service, you know, and that's my approach in life, is holistic. That's how Growing Tree was born. You know, I would see the outsourcing of raising my children to the public school system. I was like, I cannot do this anymore.
If you're ready to heal your relationship with yourself and your partner, deepen your impact in the wellness or spiritual space, and reclaim your power and pleasure, you'll want to join our online community and newsletter. Newsletter sounds boring, but it's totally free and will ensure you don't miss a single transmission. Likewise, the community is an additional free space to remind us our desires are the roadmap to our dreams. Our community and newsletter dive deep into the challenges of balancing intimacy, personal growth, and building a purpose-driven business. You'll get exclusive insights from our podcast, along with tools and resources for things like embodying the power couple dynamic, where your business and relationship fuel each other, integrating fear and imposter syndrome in launching and growing a spiritual or taboo business, reclaiming power and pleasure, yet alchemizing shame and criticism. It's in community that you'll find the initiations and inspirations that will pave your path towards embodying your full potential. Joining the community will automatically add you to the email list. Again, it's totally free, and it's the #1 way to support the podcast. Simply go to KrystalArthur.com or click the link in the show notes. That's my name, KrystalArthur.com, or find the link in the show notes. Join us today and step into the true power of who you are, both in your relationship and in your business.
Okay, perfect segue. So you found the courage. So you were inspired by your husband having his training practice, and so that gave you the inspiration to do that. You went to you have a degree in business, so that I can imagine that helped with you having the like, okay, yeah, I can do this. How did you transition to, okay, in addition to having my own business, I'm going to now start a second business. Where did that inspiration come from?
There wasn't a lot of inspiration it was necessity, really, you know. It was like,
so what is your philosophy about homeschooling?
Yeah, so I mean, my husband and I took turns going back and forth after my daughter started kindergarten, and I was like, I think she should try it. We did public school. Let's just try it kindergarten because we were wanting to get some time back, you know. And so we were like, let's try to get some time for ourselves to do something, you know. So we went the public school route, but we wanted to be in the school. We were there for lunches. We were there for recess. You know, my husband was teaching. Like, we wanted to like be a part of the school, and they just kept pushing us out. It was like, wait a minute, I thought you wanted our help. Like, we're here to like be with the kids, and we want to know all of the kids in the class. We want to know who she's interacting with, you know, and we wanted to be involved and be a part of raising our kids, you know. And the more and more that we got pushed out, or the more the less I knew about what was happening in her life. And I remember her first Christmas in kindergarten, her coming home, and we were out talking, and she raised her hand and asked to speak. And I was like, we're at home. You don't need to raise your hand to speak. So the conditioning was already like running hard on her. And I was like, okay, that was my first like, ooh, okay, we'll have to like teach her, like, you know, this is not what you know, there's a difference. But it wasn't until the November after her first grade that we both were at the same place. Because like I said, we took turns, and it was like, okay, I'm ready to homeschool. After I saw that raising the hand, I'm like, she doesn't need to go back after Christmas. He's like, but you're doing so well in your business, and we, you know, I don't think I have the time, and our schedules were just, you know, full. So we're like, okay, this isn't going to work right now, but we'll do it, you know, at some point. So yeah, and finally we both were on the same page, and in that Thanksgiving break, we were like, okay, this is it. We'll email the teacher and we're done. You know, we are lucky and blessed to have my mother-in-law down the street, my mother, retired teacher, down the street. That's why we live in St. Louis. That's why we moved back from Scottsdale, to be closer to them, to have our kids by their family. They helped a lot. They helped a ton while we figured out what our schedules were going to look like. And, you know, things were going great. And we were deschooling for a while, I think, you know, not pushing any academics. I still really don't push a ton of academics. I would say more unschool than anything, or life school. I feel like they can learn so much in so many ways now. We live in an age of information, and the information is at the fingertips. You know, them absorbing information, not a problem. And I just want them to love learning, to seek it, right? And so, yeah, we were farming because here comes 2020. We're farming, and because I can't teach Pilates, I can't do one-on-one. My husband can't do one-on-one. And Darlene and I, we needed a place for the kids to go because we're here like digging in the dirt and planting, and then they're unplanting, or they're getting mud, or we're hosing them off because they're tumbling, and they're like, you know, and they were young. So we just needed someone to help us with the kids. And who's not better than my mom, who's already had, you know, she was a gifted teacher and had a classroom where the kids came, and she set it up as an invitation to learn. What do you guys want to learn about? You know, and so she was already helping me with my two girls. And Darlene's like, can she take Layla too? And so we were like, yeah, I think we can do this. And I had been driving around this area. It's a super cute, quaint area that I started driving around it months before we decided we were opening Growing Tree. You know, I was like, Mike, maybe you should move here to this location. I just wanted to be here. This is like a really cute, with the garden and the park and the library and walkability. You know, I really liked the quaintness of that. So when it came to it, you know, it was me and Darlene, and then two other moms were like, well, we're in too, you know? So it was like, okay, well, we got enough people. I think we can do this. When it came to like signing the lease and all that, everyone was looking at everyone else. And I was like, I'll do it. I want to be here. I really like this place. And even if this doesn't work out, I'll do something else with it. And that's still my mindset. Like I will continue to have some child of work, like some container of business. And I'm happy to continue to evolve that as it organically does. My mom, she has a better memory than I do. And she said to me, I signed the lease and I was like, okay. It was the day before we were going to start taking kids in. So we had Darlene, me, 2 other moms, and then we had 5. We had 5 moms, and then each of us had at least 2 kids. So, it was a small group to start with, but it was
a nice class size.
It was an empty box. It was the smaller space next door. And it's the day before and we're like, okay, what are we going to put in here? So we both go home and we grab as much stuff as we can from our house. And she's a teacher, so she saves everything and everything can be used. So we laid out rugs. We had tents. We had, they were building forts. They were, building bird feed. Like she just created such fun lessons, for that young age group and those starting. And she still continues to do that, create fun. And, I'm so grateful for her. But anyways, I started to tell you she has a better memory than me. When I signed that lease in there, she's like, do you remember Georgie was 2 years old. You were living in Arizona and we were on the phone. She starts reminding me of this conversation. It's all coming back to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, I'm going to move back, but only if you will help me open a school. And I never remember planting that seed or something. Because we just would talk about, and she's like, oh yeah, and then maybe Vince can teach guitar lessons because her husband is in a band and he does a lot with guitar. And so yeah, and Mike can have like a training facility, we'll have it all together and we'll, it'll all be fun. And, and then wham, I have Camila, I move, and I forget about it all. I forget about all that dreaming that we had talked about, that conversation of the possibilities of the future. And that's kind of how I dream. Is like, I'm like way up here. I'm like these dreams and they're all floating around. And so it's like, which one am I going to pull down? And which one's going to come back down? And because I'm not always connected to those dreams consciously, I'm like, okay, I'm going to dream it, but then I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let God bring it back to me.
Yes. I love that so much. Okay, I need to start framing that in my mind. Like, I think my issue is that I try to pull it all down. Let it rain all down, look. And so, but I love that. Not just because you have the vision, you have the dream, sometimes you can kind of stay in the ether and let it kind of formulate. And when the timing's right, life will give it to you. It'll come at that, when let things fall in line. But I also love that you took aligned action. That's really beautiful. And that you said, you planted the seed of growing tree. And then forgot about it.
Yeah, and someone else actually threw that name out. And I can't say I think I'm thinking like ping pong sometimes. Unless I'm in the Pilates studio, I'm like on it. And I'm very but anywhere else in life, I'm like, I'm just here. I don't really but I know what I wanted to say is that it all comes with a cost. This has all been great and this is all, it's been a great process and people are like, you're doing amazing things. I'm like, it still comes with a cost. It's not easy, it's not easy holding this vision and continuing to let it evolve and not control it and not think that it has to look a certain way or because what we've created, I didn't think existed anywhere else. And then here we are, about to start our 5th year in September. And we're going to a conference, my mom and I, in June with 400 other organizations that are alternative education. There's a whole grant structure thing that we are in now. And this, I found this place in Canada that it says Homeschool Resource Center. And I was like, oh, somebody else used those 3 words. They get it, that's what we really are meant to be. My kids call it school. It's easy to say school. We look nothing like school.
It's not a school. It's not a school, but it is easy to say micro school or something like that. But I love that you don't only offer a place for the kids to come. You also have the enrichment aspect. So I'd love for you to go into that, share everything that Growing Tree is, but also go more into that cost. Yeah. When were times that you didn't think it was going to work out or that you thought you were crazy or...
Oh, I mean every other week. No, I'm human, so I'm gonna doubt myself and the work that I want to continue to put into it. And sometimes I felt like my health was at a cost, or sleep. Like I would lose sleep over paying the rent because it ultimately come down to me. I'm the one that said, okay, I'll sign the check, I'll sign the lease, and I will be responsible, and I will follow through on my commitments. I'm not one that's just gonna be like, just let that fall apart. No, I definitely, it was just a lot on my mind for the first 2.5 years for sure. Not only like the logistics and, the paying of it, but like calling in the right people too, like I wasn't into like doing advertising and just calling anyone in. I wanted to know that you know someone and that you have similar values and you're coming in here because you're seeking this type of thing out. I mean, as we grow, we get people that kind of come in and come out of our, and I don't think they realize that they're coming in and out of my heart every time they come in, so it's like, that's what's hard, is that you take on these families and you're like, oh my gosh, I love your family. I want to help your family. We're here to serve your family. And they're like, thanks. Okay, bye. I'm out of here now. And it's like, well, okay. I don't want to lose families, and I don't want to, and at the same time, if we're not the right place for them, we're not the right place, so that I think was the hardest thing, was not to get too attached to families so quickly, to protect myself. So I kind of stopped doing the tours, and I was like, Mom, you're gonna have to do the tours, because when I do the tour, I'm like, okay, now you're coming into my, this is our home. Yeah. This is our second home. This is where we feel comfortable, we feel safe, and that's what we want the environment that we want the kids to feel, because you can't learn when it's all about the environment.
Yeah, you can't learn when you don't feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go into more. You mentioned your values. What are your values? How do you find people that are aligned with your values, not only like in life? Well, I guess we were talking about the interconnectedness of life and business, right? But how do you find someone, how do you find people that are aligned with your values?
I just magnetize what I want in life. Okay, so I'm attracting the life I'm living, right? So whether it be, the farm life, right? Like Mike and I have put so much into that farm, into Lucky Dog, right? That was our second home, tending to the earth. It's still his, like he's still there a lot, and tending to that and doing the work of that. So, I mean, values, I try to keep it simple because it can get so complicated. But simple family is the first value, putting our family first, connecting with our family more often than, shipping them off for 8 hours a day and having a night. So really spending time with the family, and that shows here when my mom's here, his mom comes in and helps here, my stepfather comes in and is around, like, so not just having family as a value, but living that value, right? So keeping your values as an everyday part of your life. So, and then, physical fitness, to me, it's all holistic. Okay. So the family, the physical fitness, you can't have a family without health, otherwise you're lost. It's values is a tough, because how many times I'd have to look at my phone and outsource like my brain, because keeping that like concise when you just want to keep going. On health, we're thinking move well in the Pilates studio, think well, eat well, nourish your body. So you're nourishing your body at the farm, you're moving it with Pilates and all of that training there, and then think well, you're coming here to learn, so that's kind of 3 basic things from health: family, health, wealth is a value of mine, but not wealth in the sense of money always. It's the abundance mindset, and knowing that we were born abundant. We were born into this wealth of opportunity of this world that we live in, that it's just a little blip of vapor, and what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know, I definitely don't have a lot of money. You know, that's not how I value wealth. I do want to build more wealth, and there's goals there. But again, that's one of those things floating around. Like, when it's right, that type of wealth will drop it down into my existence. But it's still kind of one of those floating around. I just feel the most wealthy in family and health right now. Yeah. So that was the LLC that Mike and I created. We took our two top values. Well, not wealth wasn't the top then, but it was, our LLC is wealth of health, because we thought health to us at that point in our life, because we really took our health seriously when we were going to have a baby. We're like, if we're going to bring this baby into the world, let's make sure we're both in tip-top shape and that we help this perfect child, continue to be that way.
Yeah. Okay. You want to take us up into the ether at all? Do you want to share any of those dreams?
Oh, so when before I opened my own studio, I worked for Lifetime Fitness. Okay, I found Lifetime Fitness when I was laid off from a job. We walked into the doors were closed. I felt, when I looked at their website, I'm like, Mike, the place like this exists. Look, we can come here. They had a cafe, they had a spa, they had an amazing kids academy. This isn't kids care, okay? This was academy. I dropped Georgie off, and she was doing art, and she was doing ninja, and she was doing, crafts and whatever, outside play. I mean, it was like a preschool that, downstairs while I was upstairs teaching Pilates. I love Lifetime Fitness. It's a genius, high level place for people to go and be better people, in my opinion. They have the best services. So I love everything they offer, and I wanted to also be holistic. And so adding, a bigger kids program, adding a bigger Pilates, less cardio equipment, less of the machines, more free weight, body weight, primal movement pattern, basic foundational stuff that we all still need. That would be my ultimate goal. Indoor, outdoor space. I've seen many places in Scottsdale where they got it right with the indoor, outdoor garage. It's warmer there. It makes more sense. Yeah. But here we still have really nice days in November. And
I'm sure there's people who would straight up, like, with a covered space and those big outdoor heaters. I'm sure there's people who would do it.
Or just garage type spaces. Where you have that flexibility of opening up and closing up, or those containers, those shipping containers, like chicken and pickle.
That's smart. Like the garage door. I've seen that in like some co-working spaces even.
Yes. Co-working is also another. So like you had it all. You had it all written out, and so I was so excited when you came. I was like, yes, I want all of this. Honestly, I want a campus. I want a whole campus where we've got a commercial kitchen, we've got the farm, we've got the cafe side, because you want to offer all of these things to all of the uniqueness that's in us, each of us. My husband is the cook. Yes, I would love to have more time for cooking, but he's really good at it, and so he gets it done. He could teach so many people quick and fast ways to cook, because it takes me forever to cook. I'm timing it. Leave me an hour. Okay. He can be done in 15 minutes. But, so a campus with all of that. I would love Lucky Dog to be a part of. Lucky Dog's not moving, so if I could get like the land around Lucky Dog and partner with them and combining our communities. It's hard to say I can ever see us leaving this location though, because I also love our sport court and our garden. So it's like headquarters would stay here, then we'd have our campus where it would be like on land and multiple buildings and multiple types of learning happening between all ages. Because I think we should still be learning, in our older ages.
Yeah.
This is for conscious couples, coaches, and catalysts of spiritual and wellness businesses who feel like imposters in their business because their relationships are draining or toxic. Do you feel like your marriage or relationship is hanging by a thread, constantly fighting with your partner and worried about how it's affecting your kids, your energy, and your business? Maybe you've tried everything. New diets, another self-help book, another certification, all in an effort to fix yourself, your partner, your family. And yet here you are, burnt out, exhausted, and still feeling like something's missing. I'm Krystal Arthur, and I've been exactly where you are. I've been married for 11 years, and most of those we were in spiritual leadership, preaching heaven while living in hell, both as individuals and as a couple. We lived through rage, anxiety, depression, and caused trauma to our 5 children. We followed all the conventional advice, confided in mentors, and went to the marriage retreats year after year. The message was always the same: behave better, resist your desires, submit, and obey the rules. But here's the truth. The real transformation happens when you stop trying to fix yourself and everyone else and start accepting and loving yourself unconditionally. The secret is in reclaiming your power and discovering where you're holding yourself back from intimacy, aliveness, and your truest desires, both in your relationship and in your business. As a wellness or spiritual entrepreneur or leader, you feel like you should have the answers, the spiritual perspective, the clarity to navigate and balance it all. But when your marriage is falling apart and you're starting to feel like a hypocrite in your own business, it can feel impossible to find a way forward. I've lived that disconnection, the feeling of hopelessness and the heartbreak of wondering if divorce is the only answer. Through my coaching, I guide individuals and couples to uncover their deepest desire and finally start to build the life, relationship, and business they're meant for. You'll learn to heal from within, letting go of the constant need to fix, and create a relationship where you and your partner become the power couple you've always dreamed of, full of purpose, passion, and potential. In this 6-month container, together we will create a field of safety, sacred sovereignty, love, and sensual empowerment that will elicit a remembrance in you of who you are and what you're capable of. It will transmute the energy of doubt, lack, shame, and resentment, and resurrect in you the capacity to have a thriving relationship with your pleasure, purpose, power, and partner. With this truth anchored and embodied, you will see your sovereign vision begin to manifest and experience the fullness of your magic. This is by far my most powerful offering. To learn more and schedule a free 1-hour clarity call, go to krystalarthur.com or click the link in the show notes. This is a virtual offering. I'm on a mission to see as many individuals and couples come alive to their power, purpose, prosperity, and pleasure as possible. Again, that's my name, krystalarthur.com, or find the link in the show notes of this episode. I absolutely love that. So, what about either your Pilates practice, your business, or growing Tree? What are areas where you're like, or a moment of time where you were like, yeah, I did that. Like, we're nailing it. Like, this feels like this is why I do this. You take me into either like a client story or like maybe like a story of one of your children or one of the children in the program where it's just like you had that moment of like,
Yeah,
it was all worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of those regularly. Clients. I mean, you are a great example. The way you would walk in and the way you would walk out was a different person.
It was, I wish we almost had video. I mean,
that's what I keep saying.
That's what
I keep saying is I need a video camera of people, no matter who they are, no matter what they have going on, that you walk in and I can tell the world's got you. You know, like it's like heavy. Oh my gosh. All I can do is lay down, right? And it's like, good, perfect. That's where we're going to start in Pilates is you're going to lay down, you know, and we're slowly going to wake up you from the inside. I call it working in, you know, trying to think of, you know, a most recent one that, I mean, I have a new client who had a spinal fusion, which they don't tell you what's going to happen to you after you get that spinal fusion. The vertebrae on top and the vertebrae on bottom are now going to suffer from, that's where you're going to move from because you can't move in the middle. Okay, so then that's going to cause some issues to those discs, you know, deteriorating. And Our spinal column is, I like to call it our circuit board. We've got nerves and wires coming out from the center there. She was never taught how to access the system around her circuit board. She's a singer, so she has a rib cage and a diaphragm expansion. That's a Pilates teacher's dream. I'm like, whoa, look at that breath. She knew how to open it up from the front, from the side. She forgot about the back. Right. So she came in the other day. I've only had a few sessions with her, and she's like, I was singing and I expanded in my back. It's all because of the breathing that we did in here, and opened up. She said her pain, she's able to access parts of her body because she already had that awareness a little bit from singing and from being in pain. So she feels where it's pain, but I'm helping her just breathe down into the pain, releasing the pain, corseting the spine to hold strong in the middle. And, and that's what I'm doing for all my clients, waking them up from the inside out, helping them be a whole human.
That's what it felt like from the inside out. It was, it really felt like an awakening to parts of my body that I forgot about. And like now I can, instead of feeling like my body is against me, my body and I are on the same team again. And it really was a relationship, reconnection, and helped me to love parts of my body again that I was ignoring or despising,
right,
or feeling betrayed by.
Right.
I was like, how did that happen? How did I get that started? Okay, great. Excuse me. Perfect. Okay, we're good. So I think this was already awesome. So we will wrap it up. Let's see. Okay, yep. Perfect. That's good. Right to that one. Yeah, we did it. We did great. Okay. Okay, I would love if you could share maybe 2 or 3 points of wisdom that you've gained from your journey of building your Pilates business, seeing all these clients. Do you know how many clients you've had?
Oh, I have had? No. I mean, currently have, it's around 18 or 20.
That's okay.
But I've worked with hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah.
If not thousands,
so
people
so much
over my 20, over, it's been a long, what year are we in? Yeah.
Yeah, so that alone, right? That just working one-on-one or even group settings with hundreds of people allots you a perspective that many people don't have in life. So wisdom, can you share with us wisdom that you've gained from working one-on-one with people in Pilates and your journey growing Tree and maintaining these 2 businesses over the years?
I would say one piece of wisdom is that you have to find stillness in the chaos, because things are going to continue to pull you in many directions and in the cycle of life, right? But if you don't take time to stand firm in who you are and your true, purpose and what ultimately it is that you want in life and how you want to feel, you're going to constantly be pulled in many directions if you don't go back to what that is and check in with yourself and check in with source and check into connecting to, our higher purpose, having a relationship with God. I think that's important. God has shown me so many of the ways. I've not figured this out on my own. Opening doors that I was like, oh, okay, God, thank you. That's I couldn't have picked a better option, He constantly shows up to me. So connecting with God and source and stillness is definitely, it's easy to say, it's not easy to do. You can say, I'm going to create a practice or a meditation practice, or, I'm going to, but to actually stop and pause and give everything the rushing, let go of the rushing, let go of I'm still working on that. It's, just knowing that we're all doing the best that we can. And I had, when we first moved back from Arizona, my notes to myself, like stepping into this world, because I'm like, okay, we're choosing. Everything we do is a choice. We're choosing to come back to a world that is going to be hard. Like, it was easy to live healthy in Scottsdale because it was a newer city. They were already, everything was organic. Already the doctors were progressive, right? Coming back to choosing like the hard place to be where nobody else was like us. I didn't think it took a while to find our people, but holistic living, I think it's just the way to be. I know you would agree. Yeah. So, we all have our own inner wisdom, and if we could just get quiet enough to hear it.
That's incredible wisdom. I have one follow-up question to that, and then we'll wrap it up. You've mentioned several times, like waiting, like trusting God.
Yeah.
Who is God to you? Or what is God to you?
It's so hard to define, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's beyond my human words, And my husband is so much better with the words. I always outsource him as the talking box, because he's got all of the right ways to say things, and I'm a feelings. I'm like, can't you just feel it? Like, God is here with us right now. Can't you just feel it?
Like, yeah. So where do you feel God how do you feel God?
Oh, it's just a lighter feeling. The devil's heavy and dark, and and God's gonna be lighter, and God's everywhere. It's everything. I don't subscribe to one religion. I grew up Catholic, so I think Catholic school really made me a good schoolgirl. Really made me sit pretty and follow and be disciplined, and that's always going to be in me. And I appreciate that Catholic upbringing. The discipline that I think I got from that. We chose not to put a religion on our children. We hope that they find God, and they know. It's funny because Darlene said to me the other day that there was something about God, and Layla said to her, "Oh, Mom, we've got to show this Camila. She loves God." So like to hear that from someone else, that, oh, good, like my daughters get it too. They get it. They know Jesus too from my mother-in-law. She definitely has brought in that piece of Christianity into our lives, and yeah, that's a big question. Yeah, it's a question that I'm continuously figuring out. I do have a Bible study group that I'm a part of right now, and just the conversations that you have, right? And the things that come up from studying the Bible together. It's a constant desire for me to have a good, strong spiritual connection.
Yeah, I can hear that, and I can feel that from you. You don't just function from, I don't know, what some people will say, like ego. You don't just function from like, this is what I want to do, or this is what I think will work best, like just from your head. But it is, you do what you do, it feels like from a much richer place, from a place of like a deep like faith and belief, and more than just what you're capable of in your own like thinking or skills. And you move with a lightness and with like a intuition, like from an inner wisdom. And I love that you were like, yeah, I'm not so great with words, but the feeling, I know the feeling. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's hard to communicate sometimes, but that's why I like in person. That's why, I teach Pilates. Like pandemic, they're like, oh, do some online stuff, do online videos. I'm like, that doesn't do anything for me. Like I like the two-way. I like to give and take. Like, let's play with each other. Let's continue to see how we can help each other be better people. My clients help me be a better person. I'm not just out there giving instructions. Like, they're bringing out just as much stuff is coming out. The relationship is two-way street. And same thing with Growing Tree. These teachers that come into our lives, and I'm like, okay, you come here and I want you to do what you love here. Because I want you to want to be here. Because when you want to be here, the other people want to be here.
Yeah. I'd love for you to just share, to wrap it up, where people can learn more about your Pilates and as well as Growing Tree, and just like the different services that Growing Tree does offer.
Right.
I think we actually cover that.
Yeah, because so Pilates is my name, CaseyGarcia.com. You can find out all about Pilates on there, and my online scheduler. Right now, my husband is the one building his business, so he's taking. He also works with the spine. He's been in fitness longer than me, teaching it. He's amazing at his work too. For Growing Tree, it's growingtree.life is our website. And we right now have piano lessons. We have, she's taking a break. We had vocal and guitar lessons. She's taking a break for the summer. Speech and language therapy. We have a new reading tutor, and summer camps. So summer camps happening all summer long. We are going to offer a drop-in too. So you don't have to commit to the whole week. We know as homeschoolers, we like flexibility. We don't like commitment. So yeah.
And are you enrolling for the fall, or are you full already for the fall?
I haven't even opened up enrollment for the fall because I have more things I want to figure out. And we're just in constant communication with our families. We all talked about it last night on how I haven't opened up. I do things backwards. Like I kind of like open the business before I have a business plan, and it just doesn't feel right to me to plan that far in advance. Like, we'll get there and it'll be open and everyone will show up who's meant to be here, whether it's a smaller group or it's a, whatever it is, the right people will come, and I trust that.
That's perfect note to end on. The right people will come, and I trust that. Thank you so much. Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Divine Desire podcast. I'm Krystal Arthur. This is where together we dive into the wellness, woo, and taboo in business and in ourselves to reclaim our power and heal our relationships with our pleasure, purpose, prosperity, and partners. You're invited to check out the next episode. Please leave a rating and review on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. Also, if you found anything helpful, inspiring, or curious, please share this podcast with a friend. If you want to invite me to be on your podcast, apply to be our next guest, or receive more teachings and tools from me, head over to crystalarthur.com and join our free community and email list. Thank you so much for being here.